Hey everybody, what's up? Back with another SlingTalk episode. Yes, I do notice the attitude indicator not being caged. And I forgot the sling button. But yeah. Anyways, we got the FPV and we got the 360 on the 360 camera on the line. And for a few shots we are also going to have drone shots, but only of basically not important stuff. We got 36 meters today, and here, there you go. You can see how long that is. That's 36 meters. That's a pretty standard length for like small towers. It's close enough that you have a pretty good idea of how far it is off the ground. But it's also long enough that you have to take it slower than you would with a 15 or 21, because you can get a little bit of pendulum going with it. Apparently my altimeter was not set either. 100 feet about when picking up from that point there. And then we're going to remember to look at the altimeter for the first approach when we get up to the tower, which is what we're doing, by the way. There's 4 slings, I believe, on the southern coast of Norway. We got a sling shot, or a shot of the sling facing down. So I think around here, 500 feet on the altimeter is the starting point. 550. It's a little bit high, but yeah, 550 seems like a good starting point. So the delivery point is up to the left, by about 5 meters up to the left of the tower base. You can see the red bag down in there now, so it's pretty tight. And you see the weight of the load is only 160 kilos, and it's quite big. So that if you don't hit the hole and you just lay the weight on the branches, it might not get pushed through. So you have to hit it. That's the reason for going so slow. I didn't want to get any type of pendulum going before approaching. There's a shot. That was fast. A shot of the tower. You can see I'm clearly far above it, but it's still in my dead zone, so I can't really see it when delivering the load. Like now, it's a little bit too far back and right. Ideally, I'd like to be I turned a little bit more with the right pedal so that I could have it out my sling window. But I knew that I think the tower is only like 27 meters or something, so I know that I'm far above it. So coming in for the approach here. I do have some drone shots of one of the approaches as well. But yeah, it's just going to be nice and slow, very nice and slow approaches. A little bit forward here, you see it coming forward. But here, just keep the speed going and don't stop and try to correct that pendulum that we have going right now. Just keep going and focus on the side picture, right about here. So if you stop to try to adjust those small pendulums with these long lines, it's very hard and it almost never works. The best way to stop the pendulum is either to let it hit the ground or just speed up again, basically. If you have it going, just keep flying and positioning the helicopter, and don't I don't know what that was. Don't focus too much on that little pendulum, because as I said, it's going to be very hard to correct. And these are batteries, 600 kilos. So these are going to be a little bit, like if it really was super tight, and you could just put the weight on the trees and it would just sink down through the branches. And this approach looks a lot better. On the altitude, see, pretty much 500 dead on. We got the pip going. So same thing again. This is a little bit too slow, in my opinion. I stopped a little bit too short, but now just because I did that, I don't want to rush it and speed it back up. I just want to keep that slow speed going and make sure that I don't get a pendulum. So it's going to be hard to hit the opening in the trees. Oh, it's good coffee. Now here, I think something landed on top of something else. I don't know what happened. I talked to the guys and everything was fine, but or they didn't say anything. But as you can see, it's very hard for me to see down into that opening there. Same again on the approach, just going to do it super nice and slow, and focus on keeping my controls as steady as possible. Move the controls, or especially the cyclic, as little as possible on the approach, and then just have a nice and slow descent and deceleration. The helicopter a little bit too far back, but that worked out pretty well. So I stopped a little bit short there, but the pendulum worked itself out, or the pendulum carried the line to the target. These are 390 kilos. Yeah, these are also batteries. Still going to be aiming for that 500 on the altimeter as the starting point for the approach, but try to go a little bit further and not stop so short. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's probably around 10 to 15 seconds to be gained, but I think it's important to always try to optimize. Don't rush, but try to optimize. And that looks pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, stopped a little bit too short again. Maybe I only did it faster in my head. But anyways, same thing. Go nice and slow. Now here I just want to keep the helicopter. As you see, I have almost no pendulum going, so I just try to keep that point on the window over the target on the ground as I move the helicopter downwards through the trees. It's free. Same when delivering the oh yeah, this is the previous approach actually. So this is actually a stop and yeah, this is the previous approach with the line to the previous load. So when I lift up, I'm going to have another load, but it's just, I figured it was a more interesting way of looking at not the same approaches all the time. Beautiful place on the southern coast of Norway. In the late summer, early fall, or autumn. I get kind of an idea of how fast the helicopter is actually going. You can see the little black dot at the end of the line there. And you see how I try to just keep the deceleration going, and then I stop a little bit short. I have to regain that. Also, you can see the downwash in the water there, so you know there's pretty much zero wind here. No, I'm not going with the load that I you just saw on the drone footage there. I'm going with the last one. Messing with the cameras and stuff like this, it's always important to scan your instruments while you're doing it so you don't overshoot. Like now. Not by much though, but I was a little bit fast. I do the same thing. I stop at a pretty, how should I say, comfortable distance. And I bring it in nice and slow. So this is a little bit better than the previous one maybe. A little bit of zoom in action here. Taking it super nice and slow. Here, yeah, a little bit over the hut now. That's the hut and the trees there. See the roof of it. And you can see a guy. It's almost impossible to see with this black clothing. And he's gonna attach a return sling on that orange bag. That's going back to the trailer that we lifted all the previous loads from. So lifting it up like this, it's important to try to get it to the clearing, before lifting, because there's wires and shit on the hook that might get caught in the trees and that you might rip out. So here, don't pull power if you can, and try to always have the hook clear when you're applying power. Same goes for like any delivering down through trees, even though that you don't do that very often, but you do lift a lot close to trees and you do deliver close to trees a lot, and it's easy to get a little bit of pendulum, or you don't pay attention and it gets the hook gets swung into the trees. Just be careful that you don't pull power while you don't see the hook, or that, especially if you think that it might have been caught in a branch or something that might yank the electrical cords out or the electrical wires out. Here the same thing as with an empty hook. Just keep decelerating and keep descending. You can see the point on the window is pretty static, so that's what I'm going to aim for on the trailer. I'm going to have to do it a little bit slower than with an empty hook. I'm going in a little bit steeper. for me at least, and I know for a lot of people, it's easier if you can do it just slow with movement instead of stopping completely. As long as you keep a little bit of movement, it's usually going to be easier every time. That's what I find at least. So yeah, quick little mission. Just nice and slow on the controls, not really anything out of the ordinary. And I hope we get more drone shots in the videos, but it's not really that easy to make it happen. But yeah, that's it for this time. See you guys next time.